it's just all in your head.
It is in your head though, ya kan?
1, 2, 3.
Let's go.
Selamat malam, hi again. Kita balik lagi bareng Malam Podcast, aka Lamcast. Sekarang kita bareng Audi, as usual, the most loyal Lamcast. So Audi, jadi lu kemarin bulan Mei lalu akhirnya terdiagnosa memiliki ADHD, right?
Yep. It actually took pretty long to convince my mom buat kayak ngebiarin gue get diagnosed. It took around 5 years. Kamu kelas berapa sih? Yeah, 5 years.
5 years, wow.
Right? And I was pretty desperate, you know. I've been failing all my classes and nothing's been going my way.
Yeah.
Terus ya udah, jadi sebelum PTS itu kemarin, gue waktu itu kayak breakdown banget. Terus kayak sebelum PTS tuh, gue ngomong sama gue kayak, "Mah, I can't handle this anymore. My grades are way beyond saving, and I don't care how. Pokoknya nanti abis PTS, I'm getting a diagnosis." I mean kayak, you know, I'm almost to 12th grade. Bulan depan kita 12th grade. But yeah, we're almost in 12th grade, and you know, with all those entrance exams and college stuff, I need my help as soon as possible. Jadi kayak around May, we found this ADHD center deket banget sama rumah gue, and IRC, that's the only ADHD center di Indo, tapi I don't really remember. So yeah, I got my diagnosis and
yay, good news ya. Jadinya you finally get diagnosed and you actually know your condition now, so you can get better from now dari hasil itu kan. Okay, maybe some people still don't know about apa sih ADHD dan neurodiversity. Can you explain that? Jelasin dong.
Okay, so basically, ADHD it's a form of neurodiversity that affects the way the brain develops. It's pretty similar to autism, and it's often comorbid. Bedanya kalau autism itu, it's like some sort of spectrum disorder. Meanwhile, kalau ADHD itu enggak, tapi symptomsnya sama-sama beragam. Kalau orang lain tuh mereka biasanya bedanya gini. Jadi kalau ADHD itu, mereka tuh benci sama rules and structure. The autistics, they live on rules and structure. Quite the opposite. There's like so many opposites and there's so many similarities. And kayak neurodiversity, it's like a variation in the brain regarding sociability, learning, attention, mood, and other mental functions. So, you know, kalau kalian kayak belajar biologi, terus you get to the part where you talk about your brain, your nervous system, you know, sistem regulasi. Basically, as neurodivergent people, that part of our body is really fucked up. To sum it up that way. You know, it's sort of like a race, hence the diversity. You know, most of them being a genetic trait. Tapi ada juga yang kita dapat that's not genetic, like as we grow older, and you know, misalnya trauma like PTSD, and you know, it's called acquired neurodiversity because you acquire it, not ada dari dulu. Tapi kayak again, neurodiversity is not a mental illness, it's a mental disability bahkan. Because you know, you can't exactly cure it. Instead, you can utilize accommodations and train your brain through therapy and the likes.
I see. Jadi neurodiversity itu lebih ke kondisi otak kalian ya. Otak kita gitu, berbeda-beda setiap manusia. And it can also come from trauma, dari trauma yang asalnya. Itu bisa dari trauma fisik ya kan, ada beberapa orang kalau misalnya habis terbentur kepalanya sangat keras, itu juga otaknya kadang-kadang ikut berubah, and it also change their mental conditions. Atau dari trauma rasa, itu juga ikut merubah seseorang. Okay, Audi, I think we have to know, have you always felt like you have ADHD? Kapan sih pertama kali lu merasa bahwa, oh, gue mungkin punya ADHD gitu?
Not always, karena you know, gue nggak selamanya gue udah tahu dari dulu gitu kalau ADHD itu apaan. Kayak, okay, maybe I know what ADHD is, tapi not no. Gue cuma sebatas tahu aja. Kayak soalnya kan gue dulu waktu kecil tuh around awal elementary gitu, gue baca Percy Jackson, and you know how like basically demigods in the Percy Jackson universe, demigods itu mereka punya, they usually have like a neurodivergence, it's usually ADHD and or dyslexia. Jadi ya, as the name says it, attention deficit hyperactive disorder. Jadi ya gue kira cuma ya masalah fokus sama masalah hyperactive paling. I didn't think much of it. Jadi ya gue cuma sebatas tahu itu doang. Itu juga nggak mendalam. Tapi it wasn't until middle school that I started getting suspicious that I might have ADHD. Karena kan kayak dulu tuh gue masih aktif banget di Tumblr. I still do until now, tapi not as active as I was before. And it came up to my dash about neurodivergence, and I was relating to it, but I didn't really wanna quote-unquote self-diagnose back then. Jadi ya, I started my own research. Gue cari tahu ini itu, and my suspicions are getting stronger. And that led to why I asked my mom for a professional diagnosis.
Sebenarnya boleh nggak sih kita self-diagnose kayak kita research terus kayak langsung mengakui kalau kita memiliki mental condition tertentu, atau itu tuh harus dilakukan oleh profesional seperti kayak psikiatris?
Okay, so there's this really common misconception on self-diagnosis karena rata-rata orang yang tanda kutip self-diagnose ya, they are people who just saw a random post on Instagram or any social media platform like random TikTok about neurodiversity, terus mereka relate gitu kayak I did this or I relate to this, then that means I must be this. And itu yang harmful for the neurodivergent community. That is not self-diagnosis.
Ya, dan itu juga banyak terjadi ya sekarang.
Yes, exactly. If you're still young, kayak gue, kayak a lot of us, and you're concerned about your mental health, that's totally okay. However, your personality isn't fully developed yet until a certain age. Jadi, if you think something's wrong, then there probably is something wrong, but you don't need to jump the gun and diagnose yourself. What experience is valid, but just because you relate to diagnosis and have some symptoms doesn't mean you 100% have the disorder. But if you saw a post and relate to it, it's okay. Just don't immediately claim it, and please do your research first. Banyak kok researchnya. Gue personally tuh nyari dari Tumblr karena kayak itu not just blogs, there's certified professionals and actually diagnose people there, sharing their experiences. But you can also check from forums, journals, etc. It doesn't take much effort buat ketik gitu.
Terus sekarang dengan internet jadi lebih gampang juga kan akses informasinya, how to treat yourself juga kan, like self therapy itu bisa ditemukan di Google, like you can just search about all of it gitu. Tapi benar sih tadi, karena sekarang mental conditions dan neurodiversity juga lebih tinggi awareness-nya di kalangan muda, jadi banyak miskonsepsi juga kan, jadi kayak kata lu banyak yang self-diagnose. Like ada nggak sih contoh-contohnya dari orang-orang yang salah self-diagnose-nya?
Kayak lu tau kan kalau misalnya di internet, how people sometimes ngerasa kayak having these weird psychological disorders makes you feel edgy. I mean, let's be real. When you guys are in middle school, you probably know a guy or two who does that.
Yeah.
Some people kayak ngerasa kalau misalnya they have a superiority complex, it makes you a narcissist. When narcissism is like that, or acting like you're a fearless edgelord makes you a sociopath, or getting upset when someone leaves you, udah tinggal, lu jomblo sekarang, it makes you borderline. So that stuff, it increases the stigma, and it's a drastic minimalization of the reality of these disorders. Kayak because lu sekedar ngeklaim aja tanpa dasar, lu tanpa research, tanpa all those stuff, you're actually making light the sufferings of actual diagnosed or self-diagnosed people. Jadi orang-orang tuh nganggap kalau mereka yang beneran self-diagnosis, yang beneran ya, itu jadi invalid, mereka cuma caper or making excuses for their behavior. Kayak ya gitu. Jadi it does have a harmful side, but at the same time, if you do it correctly, it's valid, completely valid.
Oke, jadi lebih untuk orang-orang yang ingin mencari tahu itu mereka harus lebih fokus untuk menangani kondisi mereka ya, dibandingkan dengan untuk mengakui dan apalagi malah menjadikan itu alasan mereka untuk berbuat hal-hal yang nggak benar atau memberikan reaksi yang tidak seharusnya terhadap orang lain ya. Tapi kan of course nggak semua orang punya akses ke psikiatris, apalagi dengan kondisi Indonesia yang dimana stigma terhadap kondisi mental tuh masih tinggi banget, terutama dari orang tua kan, kayak some of them masih mikir kayak kalau mental disorder itu sebuah aib, bahwa itu penyakit, dan kalau misalnya lu punya dan itu lu berarti nggak bener orangnya. Ada nggak sih tips biar self-diagnose-nya itu yang benar? Karena pasti ada dong kayak semacam protocols or rules that you have to go with kalau misalnya pengen self-diagnose, karena lu nggak boleh asal-asalan kan pastinya.
There's like a lot of ways to self-diagnose. Dari apa ya? Professionals, they use this thing called the DSM, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. And it is available online. Jadi kayak if your symptoms line up, kayak you hit the required points in the DSM, it's valid to say that you look at the facts and likely have a disorder. Now, because like it is available for public online. Lu tinggal cari aja di Google DSM. Actually, don't just do DSM because I tried that dan yang keluar malah company gitu. Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. Lu cari di Google, ada a public copy of it. Even though I read a physical copy, karena kayak yang gue psikiater, but that's beside the point. And aside from that, there are certain stuff you can or cannot do as a self-diagnosed neurodivergent. Yaitu, you could use the internet to find coping strategies for certain symptoms you may be experiencing. You could look for help or ask people who also experience the same thing as you for guidance. Karena mereka they've been through it, they could help you out. But you know what you can do is go around telling everyone that you have a specific disorder and you know everything about it when you've never even been told that by a professional. So more of like ada apa ya? There's like this sort of code of ethics you have to follow. Just make sure you're not doing it for clout.
Mungkin bisa ya nanti kita taruh salah satu link untuk DSM-nya di description box, so people can get easy access to it. Dan pastiin kalau sumber yang kalian pakai itu emang 100% valid and is from a professional. And also ini nggak sih tentang stigma di masyarakat ini lumayan kenceng kan, as we talked about before, kayak terutama tentang dari segi agamanya gitu. Padahal itu sebenarnya nggak betul juga. Kita ambil deh, di Indonesia kan mayoritas Islam ya. Padahal dalam Islam itu juga there is such a thing as different mental conditions, dan depresi, stres itu emang ada gitu, nyata. Bahkan diceritakan juga di hadis itu pernah seorang sahabat datang ke Rasulullah SAW. Dia cerita bahwa saat itu dia merasa gundah, dia udah ibadah terus, udah zikir terus, karena saat itu yang dipelajari kan itu ya, untuk mendekatkan diri kepada Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala, itu bagaimana cara membuatkan diri lebih tenang. Tapi saat itu sahabat tersebut tetap gundah meskipun sudah banyak beribadah, dan Nabi Muhammad SAW pun bilang kalau memang ada kondisi seperti itu di mana kita akan merasa gundah, dan atau mungkin sekarang lebih dikenal dengan stres dan depresi ya. It's pretty real and there are coping mechanisms for it yang harusnya dipelajari oleh orang-orang, and we should acknowledge that, because dengan kita menyatakan bahwa adanya masalah tersebut, kita jadi bisa menemukan solusinya.
Yeah, honestly, kayak with all this science in, I'm pretty sure everyone's religion itu juga mengajarkan to not berprasangka buruk. I mean,
Yes.
you know how funny it is when like someone's depressed and they tell their parents, say, "Mom," or "Mom, I'm not feeling so good. I'm not feeling so good." And then your parents' first reaction is, "Oh, you're possessed." That's not Rukia.
Terus di Rukia lucu ya.
Exactly.
Padahal nggak selalu
It's
begitu
just really-
kan. Mm-mm.
Yeah, okay, maybe there's a slight chance you're possessed, but try to get diagnosed first or something. Karena kayak it so pains me to see that a lot of people tuh masih nganggap yang people who are mentally unhealthy or mentally disabled that they're not religious enough.
Yeah.
Therefore, kita punya all these problems because we didn't follow our religion enough, or we're just seeking attention, caper gitu, atau enggak yang paling parah nih, when they see us as a bad influence.
Yes.
Mereka tuh ngejauhin kita karena mereka takut kalau misalnya people who are mentally disabled, they will affect their normal children. Maka
bakal
kayak,
menularkan ya.
Karena lu gila, lu jauh-jauh dari gue, nanti anak gue ikutan gila juga gara-gara lu. Kayak, Miss Girl, it does not work that way.
Or like people with suicidal thoughts, malah biasanya mereka lebih gimana ya, lebih mendukung satu sama lain itu untuk hidup, untuk meneruskan, untuk memotivasi satu sama lain kan.
Back then, when I was in middle school, I remember clearly my parents telling me like, "Oh, you're having bad behavior. It must be because you're friends with suicidal people." And I'm like, like people who are suicidal, people who are depressed, they actually wouldn't want their peers to go through the same thing. Nah, they've been through it and it's bad. They don't want people to experience the same thing juga kan. And kayak, you know how like a lot of people, not only do they not want to acknowledge mental disabilities and mental illness and mental health, it's also a taboo to talk about it. There are people I know who need help, but neither them nor their family mau nyari help itu karena menurut mereka aib or taboo, and kayak
kalau lu punya, lu bukan orang yang benar-benar ya.
People who have experienced questioning their mental health, I'm sure you guys have heard the phrase, "It's just all in your head."
It is in your head though, ya kan?
My God, where else would it be? My foot? Mental disability for a reason. And like they're like, as long as I know like people in my family and people who are my acquaintances, they told me kayak, as long as I return to the way of Islam, I'll be cured, and bam, no problem. Look, I agree with you with the thing about returning to my religion karena I'm pretty sure there's so many stuff yang bisa bantu gue. Tapi it doesn't mean my problems are erased just like that. Karena it's a disability, not a disease. It can't be cured, but it can be accommodated. Basically, kalau misalnya gue return to my religion or I go to therapy or all that, it's like I'm just training myself and I don't receive any other help. It's like gini loh, kalau perumpamannya gue punya disabilitas fisik, misalnya gue buntung nih kakinya, gue nggak bisa jalan, I only have my knees. Training us would be like strengthening my arm muscles. Jadi gue bisa bergerak dari kasur gue ke my wheelchair. That's what therapy is, and that's what religion is for me. And if lu udah cuma sebatas segitu doang, cuma kayak sampai therapy or like religion, and that's it, you're not accommodating me with the wheelchair or whatever other accommodation that is. You're basically just telling me kayak, oh yaudah, karena lu udah gue kasih training, lu udah otot tangannya udah strong, silakan lu larinya pakai tangan aja. Jadi kayak gak gitu juga mau naruh. I still need my accommodation.
You still need the facilities to do so.
So it's not strong arms, no problem.
It does help, but you still need the facilities anyways kan.
Exactly.
Yeah. Dan padahal tuh agama dan sains, ilmu pengetahuan kan go side by side sebenarnya. Kalau dalam Islam ya ada yang namanya ikhtiar, lo harus berusaha. Gak bisa cuman pasrah aja kan, gak bisa tawakal doang. Ya, itu udah melawan qada dan qadar kalau begitu. Ya, dan juga terus kan kayak zaman sekarang remaja especially kan tingkat stresnya naik ya. Ini berdasarkan American Psychological Association. Saat ini tuh tingkat stres remaja bahkan lebih tinggi dibandingkan stres orang dewasa. Dan dari tahun-tahun sebelumnya itu pun tingkat stres orang dewasa juga ikut naik. Jadi beban hidup saat ini tuh emang berbeda dari zaman dulu. Okay, maybe we don't have wars, you know. Tapi ya, there are certain things yang membuat kita jadi merasa pressured in the society.
About the teen stress, I know like a lot of adults, they would be like, kalian ngapain stres? Kalian kan masih muda. You guys don't have to pay taxes. You don't pay bills. You don't need to wrestle with money. Like, this girl. There's this thing called a different generation, different problems. You know, I'm sure you guys went through school. I'm sure you guys know how much hell it is for you guys. Karena kayak, you know, we've seen media from your generation, and I'm pretty sure you guys said it was hell as well. So you're assuming it doesn't happen to us? No. And besides that, kayak the problems you face and the problems we face are different.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's this thing called a curriculum, and curriculums they're updated a lot, especially in Indonesia. Kayak gila, berubah mulu, gue sampai capek.
Iya, jadi kayak kita ada tekanan juga kan, kayak harus ngikutin perubahan demi perubahan.
Kayak and sometimes gue tuh suka ngebandingin gitu sama adik kelas gue sama kakak kelas gue, and like kita beda 1 tahun aja, kurikulum kita udah beda jauh. Jadi apalagi gue sama lu, Mak, beda banget, Mak.
Yeah. And actually, one of the biggest reasons why teenagers are stressed right now, itu karena sekolah.
Exactly, it is because of school.
Ya kan?
Yeah, karena kayak, you know how high expectations for grades are?
Mm-hmm.
And apalagi di Indo, karena kurikulum kita tuh kan kayak masih sangat bergantung pada nilai, sangat bergantung pada hasil instead of process. Yes,
that's true.
Kayak, I know there are some curriculums that doesn't fully rely on grades. They also rely on the process. Like, kayak, oh, lu ikut kegiatan apa aja? Oh, that's great. Itu masuk rapor kalian. Tapi kalau kita enggak, we're just here's a bunch of kegiatan kesiswaan. Here's a bunch of kegiatan akademis. Do both. I'm only gonna take one though, but you still have to do the other one. And you know how stressful that is for us? Karena kayak, iya sih emang ada benefitnya, tapi they didn't really.
Dan dengan tidak diajarinya cara menangani stres gitu kan, orang-orang jadi lebih stres lagi. Dan kayak kadang-kadang bahkan banyak siswa nggak sih yang karena mereka stres untuk nilai mereka, akhirnya mereka pilih buat nyontek di ulangannya. Ya kan, daripada mereka nggak terlalu mentingin belajar, cuma mentingin nilai, penting lulus gitu.
Berarti masih mending kalau mereka
kayak disayangkan.
Kalau mereka milih,
iya, you know, kalau mungkin dibandingkan negara-negara yang Asia Timur, Indonesia lebih apa ya?
Lebih relax.
Lebih relax lah untuk
knowledge intense.
Iya. Tapi ya
tetap aja.
Pressure-nya tetap ada.
The pressure is still there. I guess another reason kenapa kita stress reportnya lebih tinggi is also because how our generation we're much more aware about mental health, Leslie.
Iya.
Karena
Jadi
kayak,
lebih nyadar ya, kayak there is such things.
Yes, exactly. We're like much more woke. We're also exploring about our mental conditions and how it affects us and how we can improve it. Jadi kayak that's like sort of the reason why as the years go by, people with mental conditions itu meningkat jumlahnya.
Yeah.
Karena karena gitulah, karena you guys know how there was this one time there was this plane going over an Amazonian tribe, and it was being rained by arrows and stuff. Dan kayak pas mereka kembali itu kayak banyak banget arrows yang nancep di pesawat tersebut. And people are like, a lot of people, they would probably see bagian yang kayak nancepnya. Tapi padahal bagian yang nancep itu, it means they're strong enough. Yang dilihat tuh harusnya bagian yang nggak nancep. Karena kalau misalnya mereka kena bagian yang nggak nancep, kan kita nggak tahu kan apa yang terjadi kalau misalnya kena yang bagian yang nggak nancep. Itu bisa berakibat fatal. And that's how we could apply it to this. People only see back then people are healthy, and they didn't see people who weren't healthy karena people weren't aware about it. Therefore, that's why we have all these diagnoses, we have all these coping mechanisms for people who do have them. Jadi kayak mereka lebih aware juga, dan mereka bisa kayak shield themselves, sort of strengthen themselves kalau diibaratkan sama pesawat tersebut.
Ya, jadi bukan karena dahulu tidak ada, tapi karena kita sekarang lebih aware, jadinya semuanya lebih kelihatan dibandingkan saat dulu. Dan itu balik lagi, acknowledging it is better because we could find the solutions. Kalau misalnya if we don't acknowledge it gitu, kita nggak sadar bahwa masalah itu ada, yang ada ya malah muter-muter aja di situ, muter di lingkaran setan itu, dan it will never end, gitu kan. So yeah. I don't know what to say anymore. I did not prepare for this.
Terima kasih telah menonton video hari ini. Jangan lupa untuk like, subscribe, dan komen di video ini. Beritahu kami juga topik apa yang ingin kalian dengarkan selanjutnya. Terima kasih.